Not everything's a sound investment. For example, King Ross. As CM Punk once said, Vince McMahon is a millionaire that should be a billionaire, and while the genetic jackhammer Big Vincent has since become that billionaire with a net worth of $1.16 billion, the point stands that WWE has lost a lot of potentially huge sums of cash with questionable decisions, either by wasting it on investments that didn't pay off, or by not investing in ideas that could have reaped millions. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 times WWE threw money down the drain. Number 10, $1 Million Mania. Whoops! Vince's $1 Million Mania was a huge failure pretty much from the off. In a bid to spike ratings, crazy Vince McMahon decided that he would give away $1 million over a period of weeks to lucky fans. He would phone random Americans live on Raw, he'd give away free money, then a secret third step would happen, and then profit. In reality, the toxic cocktail of old man plus telephone meant the segments went on painfully long as McMahon misdialed, got hung up on, couldn't hear the people he was talking to. It was bad. The ratings didn't spike, and the idea was canned, but not before Mr. McMahon gave away $500,000 for bugger all return. It did end with the stage collapsing on him though, and him shouting that he couldn't feel his legs, so you know, the audience got some value. Number 9, not riding RYDER. Zack Ryder has yo-yoed between abject failure and reasonable success for the last few months. Right now his momentum's fairly dead, just as it was for about 4 years before WrestleMania 32, but go back and watch TLC 2011. That pay-per-view opens with an incredibly over young man called Zack Ryder winning the US title to a very loud pop. See, Ryder had managed to get himself over with a vocal section of the WWE universe with his YouTube show Z Long Island Story. However, instead of embracing Ryder's rise to the top, WWE cut his legs out from under him, humiliating him weekly and ending his match at Mania with him clutching his 2 balls. Why? It makes no financial sense. After all, the dude came with loads of merch options, the internet title, the headbands, the shades. Ryder got himself popular, just treat him right, print his t-shirts and make money. Instead, WWE sent him and his cash-making potential back down the ladder. Number 8, the Diva Search. Women competition! Who's the best woman? The Diva Search was one of Vince and Kevin Dunn's favourite parts of the year. Wonder f***ing why. Many have blamed the yearly search, which ran from 2003 to 2007, for the domination of models rather than wrestlers, which rendered the Divas division athletically inert for much of the Ruthless Aggression era. It gave us excellent wrestlers like Ashley, Christy Hemme, and Eve Therese. Good people like Michelle McCool did, to be fair, come from it, but otherwise it cost the WWE plenty of cash, mostly because the winner of each search got a guaranteed $250,000 contract. It was cancelled in 2008, although an unaired, unofficial Diva Search took place in 2013. That contest gave us Eva Marie. Hooray! Number 7, Goldberg. Any kiddies out there who don't know who Goldberg is, let me try and sum him up for you as simply as I can. Also, Steve Austin, if you inflated him and he got annoyed by this and killed everyone by running into them as hard as possible. He was a giant success in WCW. When they brought him into WWE, hopes were high. He did okay. His feud with The Rock was exciting. He ran through Jericho, murdered everyone in the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam, then one hammer shot later, Triple H had beaten him. That misstep, not putting the title on Goldberg and eliminating him in such quick fashion, that cost them. Because at that point, the shine was off Goldberg's big, bold, and very scary apple. If his momentum had been capitalized on, there's no telling how many more pay-per-view buys Unforgiven, Survivor Series, Armageddon, the Royal Rumble might have done if they'd featured a protected, rampant Whoopi Goldberg. Maybe not crazy more, but it certainly feels like money was left on the table when they damaged that aura of invincibility. Number 6, the fall of Punk. We've already covered in a very old booking video starring a very handsome man that the summer of Punk could have been handled better. And Money in the Bank 2011, Punk left the company with the belt after a 5-star match in Chicago. The whole thing was handled perfectly. Suddenly, WWE was the hottest it's been in 10 years. If they had maintained that momentum, if Punk had been brought back and not only won because Cena's foot was in the ropes, not been beaten by Del Rio, not been beaten by actual ponytail dad Triple H, who knows how hot the angle might have become, what kind of money might have been made. Imagine a string of pay-per-views with the main events being as unpredictable and electric as Money in the Bank. Again, it's easier said than done, but the stop-start booking of Punk only hurt one of the most potentially lucrative angles in recent history. Number 5, the Nexus. And speaking of storylines that had their legs cut from under them, the Nexus lost at SummerSlam. It's a moment that will live forever in infamy. You can split hairs all you want about whether the Nexus could have survived if the finish of the match hadn't been changed to Cena taking a DDT on concrete, but the simple rule of storytelling is this. SummerSlam's a show that attracts more casual fans than your average pay-per-view. Those fans tuned in and saw the villains vanquished. Oh, okay, they said, that's that story over then, and we didn't see them again till the Royal Rumble. If WWE had gotten behind the Nexus, had them conquer WWE, then maybe those fans would have tuned in to see what happened next, how that story was going to end. Therefore, more money would have been made. It was an angle that, with the right booking, could have run till WrestleMania, a short-term feel-good moment at SummerSlam trumped long-term financial gain. Number 4, never turning Cena heel. This one is a tricky one to argue, but damn it, I believe it. The constant counter-argument to turning Cena heel is written in dollar signs. If you turned him heel, then you couldn't have had all those doe-eyed kiddie-winkles buying those f***ing stupid armbands and t-shirts all the colour of the fruit pastel rainbow. To which the only response is, that's true. The biggest face in wrestling turning heel has never before led to a company rejuvenation in the release of a t-shirt that every single person in the world bought. Seriously, even die-hard WWF fans had to buy the NWO shirt. That's how goddamn cool it was. The merch argument is a bit of a non-starter, especially when you couple that with the constant testimony from fans who claim they were driven off during the peak bad Cena years of 2008 to 2010. If you want a specific time WWE wasted a hunk of money by not turning Cena heel, the WrestleMania 29 story with The Rock. Daniel Bryan was around the corner, John Cena's getting old. Why not? Why not do it? I mean, sure, it feels a bit too late to turn Cena heel now. It feels like that ship has sailed. But if they'd sailed with that ship, then the ship would have been a gold ship. And it would have been, I don't know what I'm saying. Number 3, ECW Reborn. WWE's version of ECW is like your dad's version of Sexy Back. Not quite as good as the original, if he's being honest. Over the course of its 4-year run, despite starting with Extreme Rules matches and the occasional Sabu, ECW was a hollow tribute act of its former self before gradually morphing into a quasi-developmental territory filled with vampires and Sheamus. ECW being reborn was a golden opportunity for WWE to do something truly different, cater to a rabid and loyal fan base, cash in on that sweet nostalgia dollar, committing to an actual hardcore alternative to their own product. There's no telling how much money they could have made. Number 2, failed outside ventures. I've tried to keep this list as on-camera based as possible, but you can't ignore all the times that Vince & Co poured money into failed ventures. The history books are full of times where WWE bankrolled something that didn't take off. Tout failed as an alternative platform to Twitter. The WWE World restaurant in Times Square, formerly WWF New York, that cost the company millions before it closed. Ico Pro was a line of bodybuilding supplements with the taglines, "You've gotta want it, no f***ing did," but the granddaddy of them all was the XFL. Oh, mercy me. Vince set up with his WWE Millions an alternate, edgier football league to rival the NFL. It changed some of the rules of the game and also promised that cameras would go into the cheerleaders' locker rooms. It lasted 1 season and cost the company tens of millions. And number 1, The Invasion. It could have been the biggest angle in the history of wrestling. It should have been the biggest angle in the history of wrestling. Hell, at the start, it was. Apart from big 4 pay-per-views, the Invasion pay-per-view made the most money in the history of the company. Imagine how much money they could have made if they had waited and did the storyline with actual top WCW guys. Imagine if Flair, Bischoff, Goldberg, Hogan, Nash, and Hall had all come over as one. The angle could have run all the way to Mania 18, and the amount of money even their B pay-per-views could have made. I mean, they still made money, sure, but when you consider the millions that could have been, it's the biggest possible example of WWE throwing money down the drain. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.